Sometimes your supplemental essay prompts for your college applications won't even ask you for essays. Instead, they'll ask you for lists. List essays are a pretty uncommon prompt. I think back when I was applying to schools, I only ever encountered it in my Columbia application. And for Columbia, I think over half of the essays were list essays. And a lot of them were asking about the different types of media that I consumed because I guess they were trying to see how cultured I was because I guess Columbia is like that. So while I'll try to make the advice in this video more generalizable to other kinds of schools, I only really know about this essay in the context of Columbia, so a lot of the advice I'll be giving may be a bit more Columbia focused, which is a great thing if you are planning on applying to Columbia, but I'll do my best to make this advice as applicable to other schools as possible. And speaking of Columbia, let's take a look at the essays that I wrote for its application. List a few words or phrases that describe your ideal college community, 150 words. Energizes me to leap out of bed every day, doors wide open, embracing people from all walks of life, fostering strong relationships on and beyond campus, awe-inspiring people whose stories I can learn from, students and faculty alike, an abundance of fighting dreamers, purposefully active in politics and global affairs, opportunities to learn and practice new languages, always has something interesting and meaningful to do, even on cold winter days, limitless options for food, good pizza and boba are a must, learning that goes beyond the classroom, challenging my thoughts and perceptions, expanding horizons, guiding me to a place further than the universe, indomitable spirit, and unabashed passion. A passionate, lifelong barkada I can call a second home, does epic things. List the titles of the required readings from courses during the school year or summer that you enjoyed most in the past year, 150 words. A People's History of the United States, Howard Zinn. Interpreter of Maladies, Jhumpa Lahiri. 50 Psychology Classics, Tom Butler Bowden. Invictus, William Ernest Henley. Canterbury Tales, Chaucer. Sailing to Byzantium and The Second Coming, William Butler Yeats. Quite Frankly, Mark Halliday. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley. The Ballot or the Bullet, Malcolm X. Hamlet, Shakespeare. A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, James Joyce. The Importance of Being Earnest, Oscar Wilde. Korean Grammar in Use Beginning, Various. Welcome to Korean, Nisley Y. Native American Creation Stories, Various. The Dream of a Ridiculous Man, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Tales of Amadou Kumba, Barago Diop. A Scandal in Bohemia, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Goodbye to Berlin, Christopher Isherwood. Remembering America, A Voice from the 60s, Richard Goodwin. The Fall of the House of Usher, Edgar Allan Poe. Rip Van Winkle, Washington Irving. Jabberwocky, Lewis Carroll. List the titles of the books you read for pleasure that you enjoyed most in the past year, 150 words. The 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear, Walter Moores. Eleanor and Park, Rainbow Rowell. The Bride Test, Helen Hoang. The Kiss Quotient, Helen Hoang. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F, Mark Manson. Comparative Grammar of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French, Mikhail Petruin, currently reading. The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, Neil deGrasse Tyson. What If, Randall Munro. This Is Not a T-Shirt, Bobby Hundreds. The 4-Hour Workweek, Timothy Ferriss. We Were 8 Years in Power, Ta-Nehisi Coates. But What If We're Wrong, Chuck Klosterman. Goodbye Things, Fumio Sasaki. Magnus Chase, The Hammer of Thor, Rick Riordan. The Art of War, Sun Tzu. The Power of Kindness, Piero Ferrucci. The Picture of Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde. Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari. Blink, Malcolm Gladwell. So You Want to Talk About Race, Ijeoma Oluo. A Tale for the Time Being, Ruth Ozeki. My Phone Diary, me. List the titles of the print, electronic publications, and websites you read regularly. Humans of New York, The Salem News, National Geographic, The New York Times, Daily Mail, Time, ABS-CBN News, Next Shark, Goodreads, TV Tropes, TED, Webtoon, Shonen Jump, Nisley for Youth Interactive. List the titles of the films, concerts, shows, exhibits, lectures, and other entertainments you enjoyed most in the past year. Gukje Shijang, Taeseun Junsa, Neon Kunom, Your Name, A Silent Voice, Detective Pikachu, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Parasite, Laid Back Camp, Dr. Stone, A Place Further Than the Universe, Quixote Nuevo, Huntington Theater, The Salem Witch Museum, Empress of China's Forbidden City, Nature's Nation, American Art and Environment, and Raven's Many Gifts, Native Art of the Northwest Coast, Peabody Essex Museum. A Seat at the Table, Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the U.S. Senate. The Peace Corps, John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum. Monumento de Santiago, Museo de las Casas Reales. America's Presidents, National Portrait Gallery. American Center Korea, U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Korea. War Memorial of Korea, Jeonju Hanok Village. Buguksa Temple, Busoksa Temple, Hahe Folk Village, Jeonju National Museum, Jeonju Museum of History, Confucian Culture Museum, Jeonju Ultimate Music Festival, History of the Entire World, I guess, Bill Wirtz, Words Are Weapons, Naheem Watson. I think that through these prompts, Columbia is really trying to gauge what kind of person you are, because I think you can tell a lot about a person by the kinds of media they consume, especially by the kinds of books that they choose to read in their free time. So while on the surface it may seem like they're just trying to have you put together like a fun little top 10 list, deep down they're really trying to see what makes you tick. So in that way, you want to be conscious of what you're putting down on this list and what kind of impression it would give of you. In the past, I know that a common concern that a lot of students had when approaching these list essays was not having enough things to put for these lists. And to that I say, you really just need to get good. Since Columbia is asking you about what kinds of books you read in your free time, and they even give you 150 words to do so, if you're the kind of person who doesn't read books in their free time and just plays like League of Legends or whatever, that may mean that you're not the best fit for Columbia. It may also mean that you need to start reading more books. In general, I would say that if these prompts aren't asking for a specific number of things, to give them as many things as possible given the word limit, because you want to give them as much information to go off of as possible. I would also recommend against picking things that look cringe, or at the very least would not give the best impression of you. So this means that you shouldn't put down whatever weird anime you watch or whatever weird novels you read, no matter how much you like them, because they may not necessarily give the best impression of who you are. I would also recommend against trying to seem like some kind of hyper-intellectual by putting down things that you may not necessarily like that much but you think looks really cool and intellectual, because in a lot of cases, colleges will be able to see right through that. Columbia will definitely be able to tell if you're the kind of person who likes The Origin of Species or whatever Charles Darwin wrote. So just make sure that the things on your list are things that you actually like. Chances are there will be some things that you've read that may relate to the potential major you're applying as, because if you're planning on applying as that major, you probably have experience with that major, which means there's already a good chance that you've read stuff that pertains to your major. So no need to add all these things that look really cool and super intellectual if you don't really like them, and especially if you're just adding them on there to make yourself look good. Lastly, I would recommend to only put stuff down that you've actually consumed and to not lie on your applications. To my knowledge, there's really no way for them to be able to tell if you've actually read those things or not, but lying is never a good look, so just don't do it. The Columbia list essays are more focused on media consumption, but for other schools, these list prompts could really be about anything. In that case, you should still try to give unique answers that show your personal voice and highlight your personal interests. That's about all I have for these list essays, so for all of you who are applying to colleges right now, I wish you the best of luck. If you're interested in specific advice on how to improve your Common App essay, check out this video here, or feel free to check out any of the other videos I have on my channel related to how to approach the different kinds of supplemental essays.